Sannakji. If you're not familiar with this Korean delicacy, let me paint you a picture. Imagine being at a restaurant, and there, right on your plate, is an octopus, still squirming, tentacles wriggling and dancing, almost as if it's challenging you to a duel. Yes, we're diving right into the world of Sannakji, one of the world's boldest dishes, a culinary experience that is part dinner, part dare. But how did we get here? Why are people eating live octopus? And what's the story behind this dish that quite literally keeps moving? Today, we're peeling back the history, the tradition, and yes, the tentacles of Sannakji, a brief introduction to octopus and Korean cuisine. To understand Sannakji, we need to first understand Korea's long-standing relationship with the sea. The Korean peninsula is blessed with bountiful coastlines, where seafood has been a staple for centuries. Koreans love seafood in all forms: raw, boiled, grilled, fermented. But then there's Sannakji, a whole new level of seafood consumption, where the creature in question, an octopus, is still alive when it hits the plate. Octopus, by the way, isn't just any seafood. In Korea, octopus is considered not only delicious, but also nutritious. It's packed with protein, low in fat, and seen as a food that can boost energy levels. In fact, Sannakji is often eaten as an invigorating dish. It's like the Korean answer to an espresso shot, just with a few more tentacles involved. The origins of Sannakji. Sannakji's exact origins are as elusive as a slippery octopus tentacle. We don't know the exact moment when someone thought, hey, let's eat this thing while it's still wiggling. But we do know that Korea has a long tradition of raw seafood dishes. Think hue or hoi, Korea's version of sashimi. Sannakji likely evolved from these traditions of enjoying seafood in its purest, most unadulterated form. But Sannakji isn't just raw, it's raw and moving. The act of eating it has an element of adventure, a thrill of will I, won't I? Not just in terms of taste, but in the very act of eating something that's still responding. A word about preparation. Now, let's talk about what actually goes into preparing Sannakji. We're not talking about catching an octopus and flinging it onto a plate. No, there's an art to it. A small octopus, usually a young Sannakji, is selected because it has smaller, softer tentacles. It's sliced into bite-sized pieces, often tossed with a drizzle of sesame oil and a sprinkle of sesame seeds. The oil adds a little flavour and makes the tentacles even slipperier, in case they weren't already enough of a challenge. The tentacles, though detached, continue to move because of residual nerve activity. And yes, that means they're wriggling, sometimes sticking to the plate, the chopsticks, and, inevitably, the roof of your mouth. It's like dinner with a bit of cardio thrown in. The cultural element. Why do people eat Sannakji? But why would anyone want to eat this wiggling wonder in the first place? Well, Sannakji goes beyond taste. It's about experience. Eating Sannakji is a sensory thrill. It's for the bold, the brave, and the Instagram ready. You're not just tasting food, you're facing off with it. There's also a cultural aspect. In Korea, there's a notion of strength through food. Certain dishes are eaten to boost vitality and resilience, and Sannakji is one of them. It's seen as a kind of power food, something that can recharge your energy and fortify your spirit. It's not uncommon to hear stories of Korean athletes or labourers eating Sannakji to gain a bit of extra stamina. A cautionary tale. But before you go trying this at home, a word of caution. Sannakji can be dangerous. Those tentacles have a mind of their own, or at least a muscle memory of their own. Sannakji has to be chewed thoroughly. The suction cups are still very much active, and there are stories of people choking on unruly tentacles that refuse to go down easily. For some, it's not just food. It's a high-stakes culinary encounter. To put it simply, if you're eating Sannakji, chew like your life depends on it, because it just might. The dark side of Sannakji, a deadly bite. For some, eating Sannakji isn't just a culinary thrill, It's a literal matter of life and death. Sannakji has earned a reputation as a killer food, with diners occasionally finding themselves in terrifying life or death struggles, thanks to those very same tentacles that make it so intriguing. It's not just an urban legend. For some unfortunate souls, Sannakji has turned their dining experience into a deadly encounter. Take the recent case of an 82-year-old man in Gwangju, South Korea, who found himself in a battle he tragically couldn't win. After ordering Sannakji, he began eating the dish when a tentacle lodged in his throat, clinging with its stubborn suction cups. Paramedics rushed to the scene after receiving a distress call, finding the man already in cardiac arrest. Despite their efforts to revive him with CPR, he was later pronounced dead at a nearby hospital. Unfortunately, he's not the only one who's met this grim fate. Between 2007 and 2012, at least 3 other people have lost their lives to Sannakji-related asphyxiation, according to data from the Seoul Metropolitan Fire and Disaster Headquarters. This chilling statistic underscores just how real the dangers of Sannakji can be. The tentacle's suction cups, still active even after the octopus is sliced, can latch onto a diner's throat, blocking airways in a manner that makes choking nearly impossible to stop without immediate assistance. And if that's not unsettling enough, Sannakji was even implicated in a bizarre court case known as the Octopus murder. In 2012, a South Korean man was accused of murdering his girlfriend and attempting to pass her death off as an accidental Sannakji choking. Although he was initially convicted, South Korea's Supreme Court later acquitted him due to lack of evidence, leaving a dark cloud of mystery around the case. Sannakji's notoriety has only grown over the years, partly due to its role in pop culture. South Korean director Park Chan-wook's 2003 cult film Oldboy brought Sannakji to international attention when actor Choi Min-sik famously devoured a live octopus on screen. For many, the scene remains unforgettable, a moment of raw cinematic shock that's as thrilling as it is horrifying. So before you take the plunge and try Sannakji, ask yourself, are you prepared to face off with a dish that might just fight back? Because with Sannakji, you're not just biting into seafood, you're taking on an octopus that refuses to go down without a struggle. How it's served. Sannakji isn't just for restaurants. You'll find it at bustling Korean markets, where vendors serve it fresh, right in front of you. Picture this: a lively marketplace, vendors shouting out to passers-by, and amidst the stalls of fish, shellfish and seaweed, a Sannakji vendor expertly slicing octopus and handing out wriggling portions to brave customers. It's a scene that captures the essence of Korean seafood culture. Unapologetically fresh, vibrant, and not for the faint-hearted. In many restaurants, Sannakji is served alongside soju, Korea's beloved rice liquor. Soju's sharp kick can cut through the chewy octopus and, perhaps, add a bit of liquid courage for those nervous about what they're about to eat. It's like a little celebration, a shot of soju, a bite of Sannakji, and a shared laugh about the experience. The thrill factor. Sannakji and social media. In the age of social media, Sannakji has become something of a viral phenomenon. Let's face it, there's something undeniably fascinating about watching someone take on a wriggling octopus with a pair of chopsticks. It's almost like a rite of passage for travelers in Korea, with YouTubers, TikTokers, and Instagrammers lining up to take a shot at this unique dining experience. There's a kind of thrill in it, a bit of foodie bravado. People say Sannakji fights back, and maybe that's part of the allure. It's not just a dish, it's a food challenge, a way to show off your culinary courage, and, if you're lucky, to come away with a killer story. The science behind the wiggle. Now, for those curious minds out there, let's get a little scientific. How is it that the tentacles are still moving even though the octopus, well, isn't? It's all thanks to the phenomenon of residual nerve activity. Even after the octopus is no longer alive, its tentacles remain responsive to stimuli for a while. This muscle activity is triggered by contact with salt, and wouldn't you know it, there's plenty of salt in sesame oil. So, in a way, the oil dressing is as much about activating the tentacles as it is about flavour. It's almost like the octopus's final performance, one last show on the plate before it's consumed. This combination of science and spectacle is part of what makes Sannakji so mesmerising. A global curiosity. Interestingly, Sannakji isn't just a Korean phenomenon anymore. While it remains a staple in Korean cuisine, it's garnered global attention from adventurous foodies around the world. You might see Sannakji in Korean restaurants abroad, or on the menu at food festivals where unusual dishes are the main attraction. It's become an international curiosity, with people everywhere wanting to try this food that moves. But even as Sannakji gains popularity, it remains deeply rooted in Korean culture. In Korea, it's more than just a spectacle. It's a testament to the country's long-standing love affair with seafood and a symbol of their bold culinary spirit. The final bite, should you try it? So, should you try Sannakji? That depends. Are you an adventurous eater? Do you crave experiences that are part thrill, part flavour, and all unforgettable? Then Sannakji might just be for you. But remember, it's not for the faint-hearted. You're not just tasting food. You're engaging in a tradition, a sensory thrill that dates back generations. It's back generations.